Hey, how y'all doing out there? I hope you're having a wonderful, beautiful day like I am today. I'm sitting out here in the meadow and just enjoying. Well, y'all, it's a chemtrail day, that's for sure. Let me just go and show you. Air spraying away. I don't know if that's doing any justice, but beautiful day other than that. So it's also the day after the full moon celebration, and I want to thank Matt and Melanie for coming out and making it just a wonderful, great time. And Namaste and thank you. Matt, your food was amazing, and brother, your company and your wisdom and your nature alone was fantastic. And Melanie, as usual, you grace Bonnie Lee with your presence and your wonderful, sweet energy, and we're all rejuvenated around here. So bless you as well, sister. Hope to see y'all again soon. With them coming, I was at a point in time where I'm a little frustrated. Things build up on us, y'all. They get tough. I mean, we all go through changes. We all evolve. We stay who we are, but we get caught up in the rat race. We get caught up in our own thought process, our own lives. I mean, it is our mind and what we think we become. So we're constantly challenging or looking at our own self, looking in the mirror. And this can become hard if we don't really fully understand why we're upset, why we're depressed, why we're anxious, why all the things that seem unnatural, all the things that the physical ailments that seem to come with having problems, with having nervous issues, being anxious, being like I said, depressed or sad even, just unnaturally sad. It all comes from a reason, and it's all because you're fighting your true nature of who you really are, um, because you're fighting the programming and the indoctrination you've been given. You're fighting the lie that you've been told that is all around you, where you, in your cities and especially places with high frequencies and large masses of people in one spot, just buying and living and consuming, work, buy, consume, die, work, buy, consume, die, work, buy, consume, die. That is simple as it seems, because if you work, you get the home and you get the car and you get the 2 weeks at the Gulf of Mexico each year, and it seems like that's the safest way to go. It's what everybody else is doing, but it's unnatural. It does bring on these things. It brings on bad behavior. Listen, I've always had an issue with people saying addiction, like drug addiction or alcohol addiction, is a disease. Like it's really is a disease. No, it's a thought process. Yes, alcohol and certain drugs, like especially opiates, because we have opiate receptors in our brain, can make us become physically addictive, meaning our body will crave these once we stop um, any kind of a long-term usage of them. That's a whole different thing. That's a physical, the body being addicted. But why were you taking the drugs in the first place? Most people want to escape. They want to escape from something bad or whatever. Opiates kill emotional pain. Um, the whole point is you can't rely on just saying addiction is a disease. It's a thought process, and it's a thought process of overconsumption. Because here's what you've been taught: when I say work, buy, consume, die, the consumption part is what they get rich off of. The work part, they turn around and tax you. So they've made a very clever new slave. And that's the other thing. This could actually be the story of how you're a slave, the story of your enslavement, so to speak. There are people out there that are rich because they have no talent. They have nothing other than they were born into a, let's just call it what it is, maybe a ruling class of people. They make up a super small fractional part of this population, global population. They make money off everything that kills us and kills this planet. This would be the ruling class. And yet we follow what they give as life. And why? Because it's been cleverly programmed. You think the work, buy, consume, die is the way to go. Who do you do that for? Do you do it for you? Um, why are they in a position where they get all the money or they get all the power or they get all the so-called get the land? Why do you even think you should own a home or have a car or any of the things that you do? The work, buy, consume, die part. So yeah, You probably are crazy because you know that ain't right. That doesn't, not only does it not benefit you, it kills the very thing that gives you life. Now, some of this I would attribute to mankind being not a superior being, but being a thinking being, being the kind of animal on this planet that isn't blessed with all the hair and all the rough features of, say, what we call animals, claws to defend ourselves, teeth to eat raw meat with, digestive systems for that. We have been evolved into something, but I always think that the mental part is what really kills us, kills our spirit, because everybody always feels better when they're camping, even if they're scared of spiders and snakes and don't like to get wet in the night. Everybody can always find a moment where they see something that's beyond themselves, because you don't see it all the time. You were shown that life you're living right now all the time. How can anybody blame you for thinking that that is it, that is the only way to live, that's the way it's supposed to be? No, this only benefits a very small few. They say 500 million on the Georgia's Guidestones is population control, when actually that's the exact amount of people that it would take to just keep what they have now going, 500 million, and without needing the mind control games like welfare, and and keeping a poor class of people like 10%. You ever notice that the poor poverty rate's always 10 to 12%, maybe as high as 15% in some places in America, but the other 85% do well. Like 80% work their butts off, and then 5% do real, or 4% do really well, and 1% get that big money. That's always how it works. But they need that to make you think that job. Like, I work because I gotta, man, my taxes paid for poor people. My taxes help welfare people. I'm paying for food stamps. Makes you feel better than somebody else. See, this is part of the indoctrination, the programming to keep you into the work, buy, consume, die. Because it's the right thing to do. Have life insurance for my kids when I die. Pay a mortgage. Have my money in a bank. Save money when they take interest, and 6% interest on my checking and give me 5% interest on my savings. I don't realize I'm still losing 2% of my money, but whatever. And you just do it because that's what you're told. Go to college, get an education, do this, do that, and you miss who you were. You missed your calling. The school system does not search the young individual mind set of that little human to see what they're good at, because there's just so many thousands of things we as humans could be doing. We are basically hunter-gatherers, and we are connected to this planet in very many ways that people don't. They really take for granted. One, the air we breathe alone. What if you could make water? What if you could make food and you ate that fake shit and it sustained you? You still have to have air. You're not going to be able to make that. You're not going to be able to recreate anything around us. This planet was here way before us, and it's going to be here way after us. We came on it, y'all, and we shit on everything over the last 100 years. But in saying that, I'm I'm going to give you some absolution. I damn sure ain't Catholic, and I cannot give you absolution. Only you can give you absolution. But I'm going to give you a good thing to think about. You didn't do none of that. You were just born into it. Hell, we don't even know if some of the crap they tell us is even true. We live in a place, they trap us early. They send us to school now like the age of 3 or 4. You're indoctrinated. You're stuck. You're chained without physical chains. You're bound without a harness. You're choked and you don't see the boot or the hands around your neck. And like the frog boiling in the water, we only have so much time that we're alive, and then we're frog soup for somebody. And maybe you don't like frog soup, but apparently they do. So you get it. You by the time you realize that they have killed you and stripped you of everything you had your whole life, you're dead. It's too late. So that's why I feel like we should talk. Brothers and sisters should get out here and say, hey, live. Or people that have something beautiful, or they realize something important and they think that it's good. Not the bad things. We can all talk about the bad things. Hey, man, the end of the world might be tomorrow. The planets are aligning. That means Jesus might be coming. Hey, the planets are aligning, so maybe that's why we're all acting crazy right now and we're all upset right now. All the planets are on one side of the sun. Wow, that's a lot of weird energy, and the sun's having to act weird. The planet's going through a natural evolutionary process. CMEs and solar flares, cosmic rays coming from some solar system that blew up billions and billions of years ago is coming right through our solar system right now. We're feeling all that. We don't want to talk about that because as long as you're feeling anxious or depressed or nervous, they're going to have a Xanax or a Zoloft or something to give you. Alcohol, drugs. That's why you think they're selling so much heroin right now. They've they have programmed you with the television so hard that every one of you are a victim, every one of you are a minority, every one of you ain't a group of human beings anymore. You're either this little bitty thing or this little bitty thing, and you're all feeling so butthurt and sorry for yourself that they got a pill, they got a butthurt pill out there, don't they? And it'll keep you like a zombie. You won't feel this Mother Earth. You won't feel your brother because you can't even feel yourself. So they stole from you. So you work, buy, consume, die. Now, on the consumption part, let's be very, very clear. America is just right at 5% of the global population. Yet we take 75% of man-made meds. We're the most unhealthy country in the world, basically. We're the most unhealthy civilized country in the world. We have the largest population of sick children in the free world, in the civilized world, with 51% having a chronic illness. And it comes from the food, it comes from the water, it comes from the attitude, it comes from the energy, it comes from the lack of movement, involvement in life, breathing clean air, drinking clean water, eating clean food, having clean thoughts, even trying to live any kind of resemblance of a life that outside of the one you were born in, the natural life. You still camp with your kids. You still talk to them about the little plants and stuff growing in the yard. Can you tell them, that, hey, look, there's red clover leaves and whatever. It don't matter what you can name. It don't matter what you know. It matters what you live. They have stolen your life. As your brother, I'm going to tell you, they have stolen what is real life and replaced it with this 40, 50, 60-hour work week servitude back to man, back to another man, so him and his family can live rich. People like Paris Hilton, people like our president have gotten rich off the wants of others, while people out there live in poverty just to get what they need. Well, I'm going to tell you what you need. You need to love yourself enough to escape that fake world and come to places like this. And I am not, once again, I want to get this straight. You don't have to come here to Bonnie Lee Farm. In fact, we live very private and quietly, but we do love for people to come and enjoy camp. But you can go anywhere. It doesn't have to be yellow ironweed and purple ironweed around you. It doesn't have to be jade flowers and all what's going on here. It doesn't have to be the mountains. Where you need to go, oh y'all, where you need to go is in here. You need to go in here. That's where you escape to. Find out who you are. Maybe this is more of what you need and want. I would highly recommend trying it first and foremost. But you're not going to find it. And I do want to keep the religion out of it. I do want to keep who we consider God and Creator and all out of it just for a minute, because I do really honestly believe that's one of the biggest divisive tools, as well as politics, to keep us fighting and fussing each other, as well as race. But no matter who created it, there are probably 2 or 3 dozen things just within arm's reach of me that can help you better than anything you could get from mankind, and not even give you cancer or have a side effect of death. Now, in saying that, there are some things, I'll never deny that there are some things that man has made that will keep you alive. Some of you feel staying alive is better than crossing the river or going with the life cycle. That's fine. That's also a part. Fear of death is also a part of indoctrination. You're taught that. You're taught to fear death. You're taught to fear, period. You're taught to hate. Now, you are taught to love to a certain extent, but love is something you're going to feel. Like getting stung by a bee, that can turn into fear or hate. There's natural law. I get stung by a bee. Or if it's young enough when you're a kid, it turns into awareness. You don't want to feel that again. You saw that little critter bite you. Somebody from your 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 elder would be wise enough to have something there for the bite to put on it to calm it down. But then you would learn to stay away from bees. So we can learn to stay away from things that bite us, or we can fear them. And we can hope that somebody can keep them away, or that there's a spray or an ointment or something that another man can sell me to keep my fears away. Or we can face them and realize this is the life. But listen, before, as far as the overpopulation thing, we're about to hit 8 billion people on this earth. I say 8 billion a lot. It's close. Um, a lot of people say that's too many people. In 92, they said it was supposed to be 6 billion. And we couldn't, the planet couldn't sustain past 6 billion. Well, that's not true. The planet can't sustain past 6 billion people living like this. But in saying that, the earth is going through some natural changes anyway. We have helped it along a little bit. We are killing our own species and other species. Mankind has not wiped out everything, but we have wiped out a lot. Things grow and become on that. This planet is constantly living and moving and breathing. Like I said, it was here long before us, and it'll be long gone. And there's things that were here long before us, and they'll be, they're gone now, and there'll be things that are created when we're gone. It's an amazing planet. It's a living being, as far as I'm concerned. And that's why I said, if we take away the religion and the politics and anything, what we've been told, and go with what you feel, go with what's been already discovered from square one. How about we go to square one? We built something so big and so crazy, and some of it got built so fast, like in 100 years. Did we stop and think that it was really the right thing? Was the gasoline engine really the right thing? Because the man invented it to run on hemp fuel. Maybe he thought the oil would have been a bad thing. You don't know. Um, Is electricity the only way to go? How we get it is burning coal. All these things, or vaccination is the only way to go. Was the original square one, a kid getting dirty and eating dirt, the best way to vaccinate from germs and things out there? Or is there a mix and a balance? See, the things that mess up religion, the things that mess up politics, the things that mess you and I up as brothers and sisters are the extremes. It's the absolutes. There's an old saying, I think from one of them Star Wars, like only Siths deal in absolutes. Well, I'm not a Sith. I'm a human being, and I'm not a what if person, because that brings in fear and questioning and doubt. So I'm not going to what if this and what if that. But I think we could think about things in more positive ways, um, and drop a lot of things, because the extremism. If we're talking about one issue, say, if you were dumb enough to talk about religion or politics, and you're talking about politics, but somehow you get religion involved, or you're talking about religion and somehow you get politics involved, then that really goes into a fiasco. Well, we can do that with a lot of things. We can be talking about, hey, the ironweed over here, when all this starts to collapse, I'm going to collect some stalks, and I can make a fiber into it and make baskets, make rope. I can make some things. And you're like, yeah, but God made that. God will make that rope. And I'm like, well, no, wait a minute. I'm going to make the rope. The flower was growing. The stalk's good for it. I ain't seen God around here nowhere with no wheelbarrow helping me out. But you see what I'm saying? So you can pull it into an argument when all along two brothers could have just exchanged a way of making natural product, natural textile for anything, building a fence, making a belt, whatever you're going to do. You see, we mess it up with our extremism. I highly suggest, like I said, you get away, you go somewhere, preferably alone, but you don't got to be alone. It'd be good to be around other people that feel like you, because it does make it easier on you. First steps are always the hardest, because that's when you feel the most silly and embarrassed and red cheeked and red eared, and you don't know if somebody's watching. Well, always remember, it's the things that you do when nobody else is watching that give you character, that make you who you are. When nobody else is watching, that's the you that I would like to know and feel the energy from around me, with all this other beauty and wonder and amazing life that's all around us. So I want you to think about that. You were programmed into work, buy, consume, die, work, buy, consume, die. Work, buy, consume, die. I mean, it's beat into you. But that ain't the way. And you gotta, as it was beat into you over time, I really honestly believe you have to take that out of your mind and your heart and your life over time. But the first step is like the only damn step they need in AA and NA. This is the only thing I agree with them 12 steps. You only need the first one. Admit that it's a lie. Admit you got a problem living in this society because it's not real, that it affected you, and that you can't do nothing about it, that you feel trapped in it because you feel like you got to make a living, you got to have a car to get around. Hey, we got to have a lot of these things. What they forgot to tell you, because it's not in the work, buy, consume, die, was balance, moderation. You wouldn't have addicts if drugs were legal and people used them in moderation. If people talked more about their problems and everybody and didn't judge people and wasn't taught to live this kind of way, maybe there wouldn't be so many drinking problems and drug problems anyway. Who knows? You don't know. People knew more about things. Naturally, you could come out here and get ghost pipes. Any of the many plants and mushrooms that make you feel better, psilocybin mushrooms that could even help you change your own mindset, allow you to escape and even feel your own universe and your own planet. All these things right here, but you're not taught them. You're taught the pill. Because the pill, the medication, the pharmacy goes with work, buy, consume, die. Because in there is work, buy, be sick, consume, die. Work, buy, be sick, consume, die. Buy or junk, consume, die. Consume, consume. I don't know if we can stop anything that's going to happen or that's coming up. I don't think whether we could or couldn't, like with the spraying and them trying to stop, use solar radiation management to block back solar rays to protect their precious electrical grid. Uh, it's not going to work anyway. This planet's going to do what it's going to do. So while we're here today, while we can look at each other in the eye today, hey, while we have the cars and the gasoline, why don't we use them for something good? Use the plastic computers and whatever for something good. Hey, the plastic chairs and maybe a plastic fork to go have a barbecue and a dinner with a brother or a sister. Let's do some good with the junk out there. How about let's consume it that way? But when you don't need anything, don't get it. Just because you see it and want it don't mean you need it. Really think about what you need. And I'm not saying just stick with air, water, food, shelter, but start going back to square one on some technology. Start going back to square one on medication for real. Start going back to square one on your health. Why were you healthy as a kid? Because you had to run around. You had to go PE. You didn't get to just sit around. You didn't have a job that had you at a desk or whatever it is. You didn't have bad fake food with tons of refined sugar being shoved down your throat. You didn't want to compensate with a sugar coma because you were feeling bad because you lived in a crappy world. You were a kid. You were active. You ran around. You know, now with the way things are and just feeling bad and what you're offered to eat, the food that makes you feel good for a brief moment or the drug that makes you feel good for a brief moment or even knocks you out and takes you out of your misery, causes you to eat like you shouldn't and eat unhealthy stuff. Then all of a sudden you're obese. Now you've added to your unhealthiness. And you're having to pay for it. You pay for your sickness by buying the food. You buy the medicine that the diet could change. Just changing your diet. So instead of spending $30 a day at the fast food place, you spend $30 a day on organic food. That way you won't have to spend $100 a week on the damn diabetes medicine and the crazy stuff you take for depression and stuff because you're killing yourself. Look at the whole system. But you feel the way you feel for a reason. And the reason is you're not supposed to be like this. It ain't natural. We wasn't supposed to be like this. We wasn't supposed to eat this stuff. We were supposed to enjoy things and have moments in time. You can't always be on one big line of cocaine. You can't always be on one big giant endless beer or endless drunk. You see what I'm saying? It can't always be one big long Bob Marley joint that lasts forever. Even though I wish that could be. It's not supposed to be that way. It's things in time. That's with food. That's with love. That's with hate. But we've gotten extreme, and we have to take extremism out of our lives. Because if we don't take the extremism out of our lives and between each other, especially the judgmental and the hatred that comes with it, like the racism, the bigotry, and all this that comes with it, the extreme in the weather may creep up on us. And before we actually could be smart and teach each other how to live through this new thing and work together to live through this new evolving earth that we're on, if we're even going to live through it. Instead of focusing on that, we're focusing on who's right and wrong about God or who they elected. None of that done anything for you ever, ever in anybody's life. The things you bicker about, the things you want have never done anything for you. Only the things you need and working towards that with a strong, solid unity and brotherhood. That's the only time that's ever going to work. You know, I heard that you could take, and I think maybe y'all could look this up, but I always heard, I heard a long time ago, so maybe it's not the same today, but I heard like you could take all the people in the world, almost 8 billion people, and stand them up side by side, and they could all fit in Duval County, Florida. Now, that's a big county, but that'll show you how much of a people problem. It's what we consume, y'all, each person. If you look at how much trash each one of those people that you could put in Duval County, well, see, now you're filling up other areas. See, that's where we messed up. We're the locust on this planet. We need to quit being the locust. So remember, whether there is an Inky that made clones of us and have us brainwashed and cloned genetically to mine gold forever, and somehow we're still stuck in that mining gold mindset and can work by, consume, die mindset. It is, no matter where it came from, it is being used against you. The work, you're even taxed for your labor. The buy, of course, now you buy their stuff you even make. You buy your own stuff you make. Consume. They teach you not only to consume, but to hoard and to eat things. We throw away 40% of our food. Throw away 40% of our food. Some people even more at Thanksgiving. That goes up to 55% of our food gets thrown away. And then die. That's the only thing on there you gotta do. You don't have to work. You don't have to buy. You don't have to consume like that means in this what I'm talking about. But you do have to die. You're gonna die. So just remember, it's how you live that matters. It's how you live that matters. Think about that. Get away. Get back to living. Coexist with the planet and man. And as things change, and as you learn natural ways and mix this in with your life, help your depression and get away from so much from all leaning on him, because man has failed you. This system, the medicine, the schooling, all of it has failed you. The education, the food, the leadership, because you never needed leaders. You never needed, all you needed was brothers. We only needed brothers and sisters to build each other up. I felt that this weekend. I see it in my life a lot. I got to keep that in mind myself. I think we need to sit here and remind each other what the real deal is. I love y'all. It is a better world, and you do have a place to go. Everybody does. And it ain't necessarily Bonnie Lee Farm. And every single one of us has a place we can go to get away. Like I told you, it's right there. Close your eyes. Go there. And be you. Because you know what? You'll love being you. Because every one of you is special, and every one of you are wonderful. So be special and wonderful. But remember, work, buy, consume, die. That's all the man wants you to do. They do not love you. They're not taking care of you. You're taken care of less than a cow. And before I get off here, I'm going to leave you with this thought. Think of a dairy cow or a beef cow. Yeah, they get raised and they get free housing. They get free medical. They get all the free attention they want. And they're milked and then they're eaten. That's all that cow gets for a life. Milk cow sits right at its milk station, but it's taken care of, ain't it? Just like slaughter hogs. They're all get lay in the mud. They get to eat and get fat and die. Is that what you're gonna do? Because they damn sure feeding you bad shit and getting you fat. So they're making you lazy. They're getting you where you don't care. So where does that go? Think about that. Work, buy, consume, die. Find balance with it and love your planet. Love yourself first. There you go. Peace. I love you. And don't live in fear. Think about all that.